Good morning, students. So today we are going to discuss about a new chapter, that is directing. So when coming to directing, or before going to directing, I told you that when coming to the management functions or the functions of management, this directing is said to be one of the most important function of management. Yeah, so it is the fourth function. So it also plays a very important role in saying that the organization achieves its objective efficiently. So the different management functions are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So this directing also plays a very prominent role. So I told you when I was explaining about the functions of management that directing is that particular aspect where the actual workforce is put into action. So till directing, the work is not getting done in the organization. So we are making what necessary arrangements to start the working, but when it comes to the directing, it is that particular function where the actual working of the business organization takes place. Yeah, it is where the actual working of the business organization takes place. So it is a very important element of the management. So it is a sum total of the managerial efforts which takes place in the organization towards the predetermined goal. So in fact it is a part of every managerial activity. So the organization does not start working till the manager gives direction, which means guiding and supervising the subordinates becomes very important. So unless and until a manager directs his subordinates or guides his subordinates, the actual work of the business organization does not start. So to carry on the function of direction, it is a very tough task for the manager. Why? Because the manager has to look upon each and every activity. So it involves the tackling of human beings with varied nature. So in the interpersonal phenomenon, so it is a interpersonal phenomenon which is concerned with men in one form or the other at every level of management. So it is a interpersonal phenomenon which is concerned with men in one form or the other at every levels of management. So like I told you, the directing is an important managerial function. So which is concerned with managing the members of an organization. So managing members of an organization. So it is an addition to planning, organizing, and staffing that a manager must direct his subordinates. Therefore, directing is a performance oriented and the initiating function of management. It is a performance oriented and the initiating function of the management. So let's go on with the meaning of directing. So what is directing? So directing, it means giving instruction and guiding people in doing the work. It is nothing but giving instruction and guiding people to do a particular work or people in doing work. So in your day-to-day life you might have seen people directing the others. Sometimes the owner will direct his employee to do a particular work. Yes, so or a teacher will direct his students or her students to complete the assignment which is given to him. So all these are the what examples for directing. So when it comes to the context of management of an organization, when it comes to context of management of an organization, so directing refers to the process of instructing, guiding, counseling, motivating, and leading people in the organization. So directing, it refers to the process of instructing, guiding, counseling, motivating, and leading people in the organization to achieve its objectives. Instructing, guiding, counseling, motivating, and leading people in the organization to achieve its objectives. So when it comes to directing, it is not just a part, or it cannot be said as just directing. So the supervision, the motivation, and also the elements like leadership will join the directing. So the elements of directions are nothing but the supervision, motivation, leadership, all this. So what happens here, all this together makes or helps the organization in achievement or in achieving the organizational objective. So you can observe here that directing is not a mere issue of communication, but it encompasses many elements like supervision, motivation, and leadership. So it is one of the key managerial functions performed by every manager. So directing is a managerial process which takes place throughout the life of the organization. So till the organization exists, yes, so or till the organization gets wound up, the direction or directing process gets done every now and then. Okay, so uh, there is a definition of directing. Okay, so what is directing? Yeah, so I don't think that it's much important, so I'll just tell you. According to Kuhns and O'Donnell, direction is the interpersonal aspect of managing. Direction is the interpersonal aspect of managing by which subordinates are led to understand by which subordinates are led to understand and contribute effectively and efficiently, contribute effectively and efficiently to the attainment of enterprise objective, to the attainment of enterprise to the attainment of enterprise objective. So this is the definition of directing. Okay, so it clearly says that direction, it is a continuous process through which managers interact with the employees of the enterprise and provide necessary instructions, guide them in the process of achieving enterprises goals and objectives. So what are the characteristics of directing? So directing has many characteristics of its own. So what are those characteristics? So what are the characteristics or features of directing? So the first one is directing initiates action. Directing initiates action. So when coming to directing initiates action, so directing, it is a key managerial function. Directing is a key managerial function. So a manager, he has to perform this function along with the planning, staffing, organizing, all this. Okay, so with the other what functions of management, with the other functions of management, a person who is a manager will have to perform the functions like planning, organizing, staffing, and controlling. Okay, so while discharging his duties in the organization, he will have to do that. Yeah, so not just directing is enough, planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, everything is enough. So what he has to do is like he will have to carry on his activities with these functions. So while he carries out the planning, organizing, staffing, and controlling, he will have to do the directing function also. So while other functions prepare a setting for action, directing, it totally initiates action in the organization. So in simple, we can say that directing is totally action oriented. Yeah, so it involves a delegation of authority and assigning the responsibility. That is, the mere action starts in this function. So the actual work of the business organization, or the actual workforce of the business organization, is put into action only in directing. So once you come to directing, the employees in the organization will be put into action. The second one is directing takes place at every level of management. Directing takes place at every levels of management. Directing takes place at every levels of management. Okay, so then coming to this point, it's like every manager from top executive to supervisor performs functions of directing every level of management. Yeah, so like it is told, directing, it takes place at every levels of management. So it may be in the top level management, or middle level, or lower level management. Directing, it takes place in every levels of management. So right from the top executive to superior, the supervisor performs the functions of directing. So the directing, it takes place wherever superior subordinate relations exist. So it takes place wherever superior subordinate relations exist. So ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ superior subordinate relation ಇರುತ್ತೋ, ಎಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಒಬ್ಬ ಜೂನಿಯರ್ ಇರ್ತಾನೋ, ಅಥವಾ ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಇರ್ತಾನೋ, ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 100% ನಿಮಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್ ಆದವನು ಅವನ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟನ್ನು, ಅಥವಾ ಅವನ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಯಾರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವನನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ವರ್ಕ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈ ಡಸ್. ಅವನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ತುಂಬ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್. ಅದು ಟಾಪ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಮಿಡಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಲೋವರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಪರ್ಸನ್, yes, he will have to direct, he will have to guide his subordinate regarding the work which he has to do. ಅವನು ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ directing is a continuous process. Directing is a continuous process. So when coming to directing is a continuous process, directing, it is a continuous activity. Yeah, it is a continuous activity. So directing, it becomes a continuous activity. So how it is a continuous activity is that it takes place throughout the life of the organization. So ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ದ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೈಡ್ ಅ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಅವನ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟನ್ನು ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಅವನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಔಟ್ ದಿ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಸೊ irrespective of the people occupying the managerial position. So what happens? The directing, it gets done continuously in the organization. So we can observe that in the organizations like Infosys maybe, or Accenture, or Wipro, or Tata, or any other organizations. Okay, so the managers may be changing, but the directing process, what happens is it continues, because without direction the organizational activity cannot ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಫರ್ದರ್. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂತಂದರೆ ಅಪ್ಪಿತಪ್ಪಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆದರೆ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಅಸ್ ಹಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದೊಂದು ಹಾಲ್ಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇವನ್ ದೋ ದಿ ವಾಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್, the directing process continues. Without direction, the organization activities cannot continue for a long period, or it cannot continue further. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So the next one is directing flows from top to bottom. So obviously directing it flows from top to bottom. So the directing is first initiated at the top level. So the superior will have to direct a subordinate. So obviously what happens, it moves from top to bottom. Okay, so like I told you, directing is first initiated at top level and flows to the bottom through organizational hierarchy. So organizational hierarchy, like I told you, top to middle, middle to lower level. So it means that every manager, he can direct his immediate subordinate and take instructions from his immediate superior. It means that every manager can take direct direct his immediate subordinate. So avana immediate subordinate yarirtare avarna direct ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, and also can take instruction from his immediate superior, yeah. So the next one is importance of directing. So what is the importance of directing, or how important directing is to the business organization? So the importance of directing, it can be understood by the fact that every action in the organization is initiated through directing only. So through directing, managers not only tell the people in the organization as to what to do, what to do, when they should do, and how they should do. Yes, and also see that their instructions are implemented in a proper perspective. So very often this becomes important factor in the efficient and effective functioning of the organization. So what are the importance of directing? So why directing becomes important in an organization? Okay, so the first importance is directing helps to initiate action by people in the organization. So directing, it helps to initiate action by people in the organization towards attainment of desired objective. So for example, if a superior guides a subordinate and clarifies his doubt or their doubts in performing the task, it will help the worker to achieve the targets given to him. So directing, it helps to initiate action. So like I told you, it is totally action oriented. So it involves delegation of authority and assigning the responsibility. It involves delegation of authority and assigning the responsibility. So what happens, it helps to initiate action by people in the organization towards attainment of desired objective. So like I told you, if a superior or supervisor guides a subordinate, if a supervisor or a superior guides a subordinate and clarifies his doubt in performing any task in the organization, then it will help a worker to achieve work targets given to him very easily. ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಚ್ಚುಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವನ ಏನು ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ directing integrates employees' efforts in the organization in such a way that every individual effort contributes to the organizational performance. So directing integrates employees' efforts. So it integrates, it brings together the efforts of the organization. So integration of efforts takes place. So it integrates efforts of employees at various levels by proper delegation of authority and responsibility, so which in turn will help in achieving the organizational objective. So It integrates the efforts of employees at various levels. So, by proper delegation of authority and responsibility, which helps in achieving the organizational objective. So, it integrates employees' efforts in the organization in such a way that every individual effort contributes. So, it ensures that individuals work for the organizational goal. So, it says that the individual in the organization is working towards achievement of organizational goal, towards achievement of organizational goal. So the manager with good leadership ability will be in a position to convince the employees working under him that individual efforts and team effort will lead to achievement of organizational goals. Okay, so in simple we can say that it is an integration of effort. So the efforts of each and every individual is integrated or joined together. Okay, so the next one is directing guides employees to fully realize their potential and capabilities by motivating and providing effective leadership. So directing, it guides the employee. So what happens is when an employee is guided in a proper manner, so it helps the or him to realize his potential and capabilities. Yeah, so they help the employee to realize the potential and capabilities by motivating the employee. So when motivation is provided, or when an employee is motivated in the organization, then he puts more of his efforts towards achievement of the objective. So objective ಅನ್ನು achieve ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹಾಕ್ತಾನೆ. ಅದು ತುಂಬ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಟು ದಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಅವನು ಮೂರು ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಹಾಕುವಾಗ ಅವನ ಎಫಿಷಿಯನ್ಸಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನನ್ನು ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ directing, it guides the employee to realize his potential. By how the potential is increased? By motivating. So a good leader can always identify the potential of his employee. So after potential, or after the potential of the employee is identified, what he can do is like he can motivate them to that extent where he can put all his efficiency. So you will motivate them to extract the workup of their ಫುಲ್ ಟು ದ ಫುಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವನನ್ನು ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನ ಫುಲ್ ಎಫಿಷಿಯನ್ಸಿಯನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಮಗೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ತರಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಅದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ the next one is directing facilitate interaction of needed changes in the organization. So here people have a tendency to resist changes in the organization. So they are not born to these changes that may occur in the business organization. So organizationally ಎಂತ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, they are totally against the resistance that take place in the organization. So effective direction or directing through motivation, communication and leadership helps to reduce such resistance and develop required cooperation in introducing changes in the organization. So like I told you, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, so it will help the employee or the superior to speak to the subordinate and say that they are cooperating to the changes that takes place in the organization. So organization ಏನು changes ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುವಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಆರ್ proper motivation. So there will be cooperation, or the employees in the organization cooperate with the employees. Clear? Okay, so what happens when they cooperate in introduction of new changes in the organization, then it will have a positive impact on the business organization. So it will have a positive impact on the business organization. So a positive impact in the positive impact business organization ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಏನು ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್, ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಹೊಡೆತ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ. ಎಸ್, ಆನ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಗೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಅ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅ ನ್ಯೂ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್. ಸೊ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಅವರು ಹೊಸ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ಗೆ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಟ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆದವನು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ದಿ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅದರ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ನೆಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಬರೀ ಹೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ಲ, ದ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ will be provided with training, or he should be provided with training, and the he will have to motivate the employee. So the employee will have to be given with additional rewards. So additional rewards ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, at that particular situation there are chances that the employee will cooperate with the manager in the organization. ಸೊ ಹೀಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಒನ್, ಇಸ್ effective directing helps to bring stability and balance in the organization. So since it fosters cooperation and commitments among the people and helps to achieve balance among various groups, activities and the department. So effective directing, it helps to bring stability and balance in the organization. It helps to bring stability and balance in the organization. So how it tries to bring stability and balance in the organization is through proper cooperation and commitment among the people. So this helps to achieve balance among various groups, activities and the department. So when there is a proper commitment or when there is a proper cooperation, so ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಮಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಥವಾ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಅದು it is totally action oriented. So it takes place, it helps to carry out the action or initiate action by the people in the organization. So why this action is made is to increase or to attain the desired objective of the business organization. The second one is to integrate the employees' efforts in the organization. So integration of efforts takes place. So all the what efforts of every individual are integrate together. The third one is directing. It guides the employees to fully realize their potential, totally motivates the employee. So when the employee gets motivated, it will totally benefit the organization. Why? Because when he is motivated, he puts all his efforts. So this effort will help the business organization in its achievement of its objective. Okay, so the next one was like introduction of needed changes in the organization. So when it comes to introduction of needed changes, so the employees in the organization, they resist the changes that may take place in the organization. So what a manager has to do is like he will have to make his employees or subordinate understand about the new changes and its advantages. So not only that, but also the employees in the organization or the subordinates will have to be provided with certain incentives or benefits, so which will help or which will end up in getting some benefits, or the employee may change their mind or they start supporting or cooperating for the new changes that may happen in the business organization. So the last one was directing helps in bringing stability and balance. So when there is cooperation as well as commitment in the organization, so ಯಾವಾಗ business organization ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೋಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ it helps to have a balance in the organization.